G'day, this is the Happy Families podcast. News bulletins have been covering the issue of e-bikes and scooters and kids riding around without helmets and getting up to mischief on these e-bikes and scooters non-stop lately.
Kai Host was riding an e-bike with another relative when he crashed into a bollard. It had been modified to remove the speed limit without his mum's consent.
I felt like my leg was disconnected.
8-year-old Zeke Hondo died when his e-bike collided with another along this footpath on the Sunshine Coast a little over 2 weeks ago.
The 65-year-old man who was hit by an e-bike on a Western Sydney footpath has died in hospital.
With Christmas just around the corner, more and more parents are considering buying their children e-scooters or e-bikes. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? That's our discussion today on the Happy Families podcast. Tragically, so far this year, 13 lives have been lost just on Queensland roads while riding e-mobility devices. And police are reinforcing that safe use is not really up to them. It begins at home. Parents, carers, making informed choices, understanding the rules and the legislation, actively supervising young riders, and not saying, well, because everybody else has got a bicycle that can go 80 kilometres an hour, let me get you one as well. E-scooters and e-bikes might look like the perfect Christmas surprise, but they come with responsibilities, according to Chief Superintendent Mark Wheeler, who looks after road policing in Queensland. And so today we're going to have a look at what we need to do to get this right, because if you are coordinating with the North Pole right now about getting some e-mobility devices for your children, you want to make sure those elves have made the right decisions, have made sure that everything is compliant, and have checked those devices twice to keep kids safe and to make sure that nobody gets hurt over the summer riding these e-bikes. Okay, that's the intro. After the break, we talk about what you need to know when it comes to kids, e-bikes and scooters for Christmas. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every single day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson, here with my wife and mum to our 6 kids, Mrs. Happy Families. Kyle, I've been doing a lot of media interviews lately about e-bikes and e-scooters. It seems like every week there's another story. There's another child in a hospital, another near miss. Just recently, there have been some devastating news stories where young people have been killed riding them or crashing into somebody or being crashed into. And parents are asking, are these things safe? So today we're talking about what parents actually need to know about e-bikes and e-scooters.
So we've actually had e-scooters for, 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, we bought them when they first came out, and we got the Segway scooters because we thought, we know that brand, and we were kind of disappointed.
And they really were a bit of a novelty back then. Not very many people had them. And nowadays, I go down to our local shopping centre and I'm actually inundated. I'm actually quite nervous going through the car park because there are that many e-bikes and scooters with bunches of kids coming together.
Well, I'm going to sound like a boomer right now, but I was riding my bike the other day during the school's busy time as I was coming back via a bike path, and I nearly got knocked off my bike. My pedal-powered bike, my proper road bike. I was wearing my Lycra and my helmet by a kid who was just flying on the wrong side of the bike path on his high-powered e-bike. I mean, these things are motorbikes, not e-bikes, let's be honest. And, I don't use coarse language, but I let him know that I was pretty upset with him. And he just kept on motoring along. He didn't care. So today, the conversation about it, at the risk of sounding like we belong on one of those news talk radio stations, we need to have a chat about them. I might also add that our scooters that we had were limited to 24 kilometres an hour, and we always told the kids to wear helmets, and they came off a couple of times and really hurt themselves. Like you can hurt yourself really, really badly when you come off one of these things. Anyway, let me give you the headline numbers, the stats, the big picture stats. They are concerning. I did some research between January 2021 and December 2024. So we don't have any of this year's data in the stats that I'm sharing, and it's only gotten worse. But there were nearly 5,000 people who showed up in emergency departments with e-scooter injuries. During that same period, 8 people died from e-scooter incidents. That was 2024 alone. And just in the past few weeks, like I said, in Queensland, there's been at least 2 deaths, one a teenager on the Gold Coast, another an 8-year-old boy on the Sunshine Coast who was hit by a teenager who was riding one of these e-bikes. Just devastating. For kids specifically, one regional Queensland hospital, it was actually the Sunshine Coast Hospital, saw 176 kids aged 5 to 515 with e-scooter injuries in just 2 years. It turns out it's about 1% of all their paediatric emergency visits.
I actually wasn't aware at just how many kids are being hurt. Those are some really big numbers. What is actually the cause of the majority of injuries?
Yeah, so probably not surprising. The data shows that fractures the big one, 37% of cases, head injuries, even with kids wearing helmets, upper limb injuries. But what really gets me is this. 11% of the pediatric cases were classified as life-threatening or potentially life-threatening. So just over 1 in 10, life-threatening or potentially life-threatening. Kids are getting hurt really seriously. In the Queensland study, 42% weren't wearing helmets, 36% were speeding, 12% had 2 kids on one scooter, doubling. Median age of these accidents, 14. Boys make up 71% of the cases, no surprises there. Injuries spiked really dramatically around about the ages of 14 to 15.
So these stats, we're not talking about 8-year-olds falling off a scooter here.
No.
These are older children who are being reckless.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it's teenagers and they're treating these things like toys, but they're capable of real speed and real damage. There are people around our Sunshine Coast suburb, and we see it all the time. They're wearing their full face helmets and they're on these scooters, and I kid you not, they're going faster than the cars.
Yeah.
So it's a 50 or a 60 zone, and they're overtaking cars.
There's a couple of kids, and it's the same kids every time, down one of our major intersections. There's 3 lanes on either side, and they're up on one wheel and just doing crazy stuff in the middle of peak hour traffic.
Yeah.
It's infuriating as a parent watching other kids taking risks like this, but it's also really scary.
You get really upset about it when we're together. You point it out all the time, and I'm kind of conflicted. They're obviously doing potentially risky. I mean, no, it's not potentially risky. It is risky.
But it's not only risky to themselves.
They could hurt somebody else.
There's so many moving parts around them. Any number of outcomes can happen at this. So the question everybody, I'm assuming, is asking is, should I be buying one for my kid?
I know. I've had a number of parents say, what do you reckon? Yes or no? Is it a good idea or not?
Look, I know when we first got ours, we were really very, very cautious. We talked to the kids. This isn't a toy. This is actually a machine.
Well, I mean, it is a toy, but it's a toy that you've got to respect and be careful around. And just things like they'd be on the footpath and then they'd go onto the grass, and they learnt really quickly that those little wheels don't bounce back onto, like if there's a verge between the grass and the footpath, the wheel, you can sort of slide along it and come off. And we had a couple of kids really hurt themselves doing that. My short answer is I don't think that we should be buying them for our kids. And if we are, we shouldn't. We really need to be having big conversations, serious conversations, big caveats around this. And that's because these are not like the scooters that we grew up with. They are legal e-scooters. Like I said, they can go 25 k's an hour. A lot of e-bikes and scooters are being illegally modified, so they're going 60 k's. I have heard of somebody, I actually know them, they have an e-bike that can go up to 90 kilometers an hour. This is no longer an e-bike. This is not a pedal assist bike. This is a motorbike. I don't care what you call it. And kids, especially kids in their early adolescent years, they don't have the impulse control. They don't have the risk assessment. Developmentally, they're just not ready to handle that kind of responsibility as a general rule, because they're not growing up with these machines on farms and being taught from an early age how to respect the responsibility that goes along with it.
But I know my kid, right? I know they're responsible. They wear their helmet. They do the right thing. So how does that play out?
Yeah, helmets help. Kids without helmets are 78% more likely to suffer head injuries than kids with helmets. But kids are riding them at night. They're, like you said, riding them in peak hour traffic. They're on the road. The question isn't just, have I got a responsible child? It's, is every other child around them responsible? Because 13% of injuries involved motor vehicles. 5 kids in New South Wales were hit as pedestrians by someone else's scooter, if you're considering it, then I reckon they need to be older. They need to be at least 16. They need to be mature, and you need to have ironclad rules. So after the break, let's talk about what the laws are in Australia. We'll also talk about the pros and cons of going ahead with something like this for Christmas. And lastly, I want to talk about the best way to have the conversations if you do have one or if you are going to get one for your kids. Stay with us. You're back. This is the Happy Families podcast. If you like the pod and you're enjoying making your family happy because of the stuff you're hearing, we'd love for you to like and share and leave a rating and review. It helps make the podcast more visible. So please jump into the app. It takes you like 30 seconds and it makes a big impact for us. Okay, Kylie, where to from here? What have we got to answer?
What are the laws around e-bikes and e-scooters?
So they vary by state. I would say that they're quite messy, and pretty much every jurisdiction right now is having a big debate about how they're going to run inquiries and they're doing reviews into the laws. This is a really hot topic politically right now. The general consensus, and you check your local state legislature and website for more information, but the general position is you're allowed to have e-scooters that can go up to 25 k's an hour. Kids under 12 are not supposed to be riding them at all, at least in Queensland. Kids between 12 and 15 should be supervised by an adult. You've got to be wearing a helmet. E-bikes are supposed to be limited to 250 watts. Big problem is that you can get modified e-bikes. Like I said, they can go 90 k's an hour, 6,000 watt motors. You can import them legally because they're not classified as road vehicles. So you're buying a motorbike, but there's no rego, there's no insurance, there's no checks or anything like that. It's pretty intense.
So it sounds like the law hasn't actually caught up with the technology that's available.
And not with the way that people are using it either, yeah. And we saw the police getting stuck into people who are doing this recently, but police are issuing heaps of infringements. I came across one stat that said that in WA alone, 85% were for not wearing helmets. But the police literally cannot be everywhere. And what are they going to do when they see 30 kids riding down the street? Like, you can't pull 30 kids over.
We actually saw this when we were on holidays recently down on the Gold Coast. Police were on the footpath and they were stopping e-bikes as they were coming through. The curious thing to me watching it as a bystander was that these were kind of adults and they were taking precautions, they were doing the right thing, but they were being discriminated against, yet there were kids on the road who were going, twice as fast, weren't wearing helmets, and they were completely missed because
the police were on the footpath.
Police were on the footpath.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
And the people who were being fined were clearly not happy and were trying to argue their point. I mean, the reality is some of them were going too fast. They certainly weren't wearing helmets. They were riding in places they weren't supposed to be riding. Like, they were still doing the wrong thing, but it's really hard to stomach it when 10 metres away over on the road, you're watching kids and adults literally fly by doing exactly the same thing and not being touched. Although that's the nature of everything on the road, right? Like, if you're speeding and everyone else is speeding and then sometimes you're just the one that gets pulled over by the highway patrol, that's just the way it goes. Not that it's happened to me for about 40 years, but or 30. How old am I? I've just aged myself. So let's talk about the pros and cons. There's a whole lot of pros. There's a whole lot of cons. What should we start with? What do you think is going to be more fun?
Oh, come on. We've been a bit of a Debbie Downer to start with, so let's pick up the pace a bit. What are the pros?
All right. For me, independence, especially for older teens who are in suburban areas where there's poor public transport, they can provide genuine independence. My favourite two words are go outside, and this gets the kids off screens and it gets them outside. So I'm really big on the independence as a positive here. If they've got a proper e-bike, not one of those motorbikes, e-bikes still require pedaling, so there's some exercise.
Yeah, so I don't see any kids on a traditional e-bike. They're all on these. Yeah, literally push a button and you pedal. Like, you don't have to.
Yeah, or you've got to do 10 pedals and it's up to speed, and then it does the rest.
That's right.
So it's a pretty weak pro, but
it's weak.
I'm putting it in the list anyway. Sue me. The third one, I think that in a very serious way, there are a lot of people who have accessibility issues, and so if you've got a child with physical limitations or some kind of a disability, e-bikes may, in some cases, be genuinely liberating because they can now keep up with their peers. And the other advantage is if you've got kids who need to get to work or they don't have a driver's license or they can't afford a car, cost and transport, minimal maintenance, I just think that there are some really good advantages there. Replace those short car trips. They require us to drive them to work or to school less. I was going to say less congestion on the road, but it depends on what they're doing and how they're doing it. I think if we're serious about sustainable transport, e-mobility definitely has a role. I just don't like the role that it's currently playing.
Well, the wrong people are using them.
Or they're using them in the wrong ways. Yeah. So let's do the cons. It's a long list. Number one, injury rates climbing fast. We've covered the stats. It's a genuine public health issue. Speed mismatch. So you get.
So you've acknowledged this. You're on a pedal bike.
Yeah.
You're on a bike path, and then you've got a kid coming past you at motorbike speed.
Yeah.
On
the wrong side of the path.
So dangerous.
Staring at his phone. Yeah. Yeah. Fully. And it's not just that. Like you see them. You mentioned in the shopping centre car park. So you've got kids on shared paths with pedestrians, or going through a shopping centre location or a congested area. And you've got elderly people, and you've got toddlers and prams and shopping carts, and you got a 14-year-old going 30 k's an hour on some of those footpaths. It's a collision waiting to happen. And there are too many tragic tales already, including funerals. Other disadvantage, kids just aren't compliant when it comes to helmets.
But they never have been.
Yeah.
Skateboarding,
But this is
normal
prolific.
bike.
These are everywhere.
Helmets have always been an issue. They're not cool.
I remember
They're going to come up with a cool...
said, if you don't need a head, you don't need a helmet. That was the TV ad when I was a kid growing up. Some studies indicate about 33% of kids are wearing helmets. Depends on the study. I'd say in real life it's probably lower. Brain development, kids' brains is still risk assessment. It's just an issue. Peer pressure, the kids are doing doubles and triples. They're racing, they're doing tricks, post and boast on social media. Enforcement we've talked about, it's impossible, and parents don't know what the kids are doing. A couple of others, cost of modifications. When I was researching for this podcast, I haven't told you this, kids are buying modifiers online so that they can get rid of the speed limiters. You can have a legal 25-kilometre e-bike, spend $50 and get it to go 60 k's an hour.
Wow.
Like this is within the reach of most kids. And pedestrian injuries. We're just seeing so many people being hit by e-bikes and e-scooters. And everyone who goes to hospital, that was hit by somebody doing the wrong thing here, they did not choose to be part of that equation.
You've been waffling for a long time now.
Oh, harsh call. This has been riveting. This is good quality content.
We're at 17 minutes. You promise. Nice, short, easy to listen to.
Okay, all right. Let's move on.
So give us some practical advice. Where do we go from here? As a parent, I've got a child, and the top item on their wish list for Christmas is an e-bike. They're 14, and what am I going to do?
So I mean, my short answer is I don't think you should get them that. I really don't. Get them a normal bike.
That sucks.
I don't care.
I want one with a motor.
Tough luck. That's just not going to happen. I think you want kids to be at least 16, preferably a little bit older. I just don't think that they need them. The data and the developmental science, in my view, point that way. Start small. You want to make sure that they're competent on a bike or a scooter first. You just want them outside, right? I mean, then non-negotiable rules, they've got to wear a helmet. They're not allowed to double. They're not allowed to ride at night. They're not allowed to ride in traffic. Speed limits matter. Not allowed to look at their phone while they're on the thing. These are common sense things, and I don't think that parents are having these conversations with their kids. They're just saying, here's the bike, go for your life. Fill your boots. I think you've got to check it regularly, make sure they haven't modified it. And if they do, then they don't ride it. They lose the privilege for a week or a month or whatever. I'm not big on punitive responses, but they've got to play by the rules. And if they already have one, whether they do or not, 3 E's conversations, frank conversations, talk about what you're worried about, explore what's going on for them, come up with solutions together where they can use it and be safe. Again, I'm not big on consequences, but they matter. First offence without a helmet, it gets locked up for a week. Second offence, you lose it. That's it. If you want one, you can pay for it yourself, and you'll pay for the fine, and you'll do everything else as well. The costs are high. The costs are high. And if you're saying no, don't feel guilty. The data supports you. A parent's job is to keep their kids safe, and sometimes we've just got to say no.
You don't give your kids keys to a car before they've learnt to drive.
And they've got a learner's permit. That's right.
And this is a genuine risk to their safety and those around them.
Yeah, they don't know the road rules, but they're on the roads. I mean, in so many ways, this is like having a driver's license, driving on the road, but you're just not in a car, you're on a bike. It's look, I'm not anti-technology, and we do need to wrap this up. I think that e-mobility has a place, and I think that there's some real benefits and bonuses for our kids and for our families, and for us it's quite convenient. But right now we're running this massive uncontrolled experiment on our kids' safety. The laws are inconsistent, enforcement is patchy at best, and the injury numbers are frankly terrifying. So our job is to look at the data, understand the developmental realities, and make decisions that are going to prioritise our kids' safety over convenience or peer pressure. And sometimes that means saying no,
even when it's not the popular answer.
Especially then. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Enough questions, enough time. Good luck for Christmas if this is on your kids' Christmas wish list. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Coulson from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides research, admin and other support. If you'd like more info to make your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's okay to be great.